All right. Ah, yes. Okay, we're good. We've gone live here. Moneyline MMA coming back after a week off from UFC Vegas 92. Of course, our last fights in which Edson Barbosa lost to Lerone Murphy in a decision. Wow, what a night. We didn't get a chance to do our recap yet on that fight night, Jose. And Moneyline MMA is coming in with heat. I went 5-0. You went 4-1, with of course the casualty being the one disagreement. It was impossible for us to go 10-0 on that run because we disagreed on the main event. Although I only had a one weight on Lerone Murphy, it wasn't a strong disagreement. Edson Barbosa just wasn't able to get really together. He had a moment where he kind of, it was like I forget the name of the kick. It was like a heel kick on his back that he landed on Murphy, and it kind of looked like it put Murphy out, but Murphy was just kind of putting his head in Barbosa's chest as protection method, and Murphy continued just 4 more rounds of dominating and was able to earn the win. So props to him. Outside of that, Omar Sy, it wasn't even a KO. Thought with his size, power, and his judo previous experience, he would get the KO. Nope, submits his opponent. That was my 4 weight. Of course, Abus Magomedov getting the job done, using a decent amount of wrestling against Warley Alves. And that's my 5 weight. So Jose and I both had a great night. We both pretty much picked the same fighters. Yanez was a big one, Thema Garimbo as well. So we're going to continue with that heat coming into now what is a pay-per-view UFC 302 off of a week break. Of course, this event headlined by the title bout between Islam Makhachev and Dustin Poirier. Poirier over here talking about retiring, being done after this fight. We'll see how that impacts our handicaps. But as always, here at Moneyline MMA, we give our picks. Jose and I take a look at the, in this case, there's 12 fights on UFC 302 as of right now. There's been a lot of cancellations. A lot of fighters moving around. If the fight was canceled, they got a replacement or they either moved to another fight card. So currently at 12, Jose and I pick 5 of those and weigh, in terms of confidence, those picks. We start with our most confident picks first, so we don't beat around the bush. We get straight to the business and just move on with our discussion from there on the other fights that we're confident on. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and open it up with my 5 weight of UFC 302. And without rambling on too long, I did also just want to note that this fight will be the first day in June. June 1st is rare for a pay-per-view. This is the June pay-per-view to occur on the first day of the month, as well as it will be occurring in Newark, New Jersey. So that might be relevant in terms of thinking about some home field or home territory for some of these fighters, with the prelims starting at your usual 5 p.m. Central Time. So you're going to get your normal 9 p.m. Main card for UFC 302. But yeah, moving forward, my 5 weight for Saturday afternoon is going to land us right smack dab in the main card. It's going to be currently what's listed as the second fight of the main card, and I'm targeting somebody that's actually coming off of a loss, and I do not care. I'm talking about Jailton Almeida, who's fighting Alexander Romanov. Jailton Almeida is currently a decent favorite. Let me double check on that. Jailton Almeida here shows to be a minus 290 favorite on FanDuel to Romanov's plus 215. Jailton Almeida obviously coming off of that loss to Curtis Blades, where he took Curtis Blades down 9 times. I'm just pausing for effect. Curtis Blades was taken down 9 times in about 8 to 9 minutes of fighting. That right there is crazy. Not a human being for the last 10 years would be able to say that in the UFC, maybe other than John Jones if they were to fight, but Curtis Blades has never been up to that level. But wow, Curtis Blades is supposed to be regarded as the best heavyweight wrestler, and he gets taken down 9 times and wins the fight because Jailton Almeida gets his leg and gets him to the fence and like froze up because he got hit in the side of the head. And you could tell, like, Almeida froze up. He didn't let the leg go. He didn't complete the takedown. And he just froze up and took enough hits to get knocked out. I personally do not put that much credence in that loss. I think if they fight again, Almeida wins. I really do. And I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. Alexander Romanov is a guy that they've kind of had to baby into being successful. Like, don't get me wrong, he started out his UFC career great. He finished guys, and he only had one guy bring him to a decision. He had a 5-0 win streak to start his UFC career, but none of them are respectable heavyweights. He finally gets a good fight, Marcin Tybura, majority decision loss. He gets another respectable opponent, Alexander Volkov, KO'd in round 1. Alexander Romanov has looked out of shape. He has just not looked good. He goes in there and, okay, so he beats Blagoy Ivanov. Like, great. Another middle-of-the-road veteran who has more losses than wins in the UFC. You know, and don't get me wrong, Blagoy's a man, because he's the guy who got stabbed and, like, got attacked by a cartel and is still living and fighting to this day. So props to him, but that doesn't mean he's like a top echelon heavyweight in the UFC. To me, Alex Romanov has a good ceiling. I'm not crapping on him like he's garbage. Alexander Romanov could be a great fighter, but you just don't know what you're getting. You could get the guy that got KO'd in round 1, or you could get the guy that's actually good, you know, will land 5 takedowns and only get hit 13 times en route to a KO win. That's what you would want to see. I just don't think that's going to be the case. Almeida's way too aggressive. Almeida will attack and attack fast. And before he knows it, Alexander Romanov is going to be on his back, or Jailton Almeida will be on it, going for his neck. And I think he's going to tire out. I think he's got bad conditioning, especially compared to Almeida, a man who can go at a 9 takedown per round pace and continue. Or I guess in this case it was 5 in the first round. 5 per round takedown pace, though. 15 takedowns in the whole fight with that rate continuing. I mean, that's just crazy. So all I got to say is Jailton Almeida, to me, is one of the easiest picks on this card. I think he comes in here and cleans Romanov inside the distance. He's coming off a loss. He's got all the motivation a prospect could have. Give me, 5-weight official. Give me Jailton Almeida inside the distance. Jose, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I have Jay Almeida as well. He is my 3-weight. And reason, as you said, too, yeah, he's definitely the better fighter in this matchup. And he definitely should have won that Curtis Blades fight. But again, he just would not let go of Curtis Blades. And Curtis Blades just landed those little hammer fists to him and just put him out. And it was just one of those things where he just needed to let go and just move on. And he just felt so good and strong, especially dominating someone with as well as a wrestling pedigree as Curtis Blades. That just showed a lot in Almeida, and that he is ready to hang in with those big guys, with the top 5. But that being said, he does show a little mistakes every now and then until that is example, him not letting go of Curtis Blades. But that being said, when you look at the resumes too, I like Almeida's a lot more. Just wins over Derek Lewis, Arsenio Rozenstruik, and Shamil Abdurakhmanov. Those 3 names alone, those last 3 wins before Curtis Blades are reasons why I think, you know, Almeida definitely, I'm saying he deserves to hang in there with the top 5. He'll probably still lose. Like, I don't know. Like, it's up for grabs, I guess, because it is the heavyweight division. But Almeida, he has been a hot prospect, and it was just a major letdown. But I'm not gonna shy away from having him take the win in this one for sure. Especially when you look at Alex Romanov, like you mentioned, he beat Blagoy Ivanov, and Blagoy, yeah, he's only won 1 of his last 6 fights. Definitely not the best, nothing too impressive there. And then lost 2 in a row before that, and then has wins over Chase Sherman, Jared Vanderaa, and Juan Espino, which again, all those 3 to me really mean nothing. Even though he did win them all differently, 1 via split, 1 TKO, and 1 submission. Still doesn't mean much to me. In this matchup, Almeida is definitely the better fighter. And Almeida also, when it comes to how they match up size, he's 1 inch taller, and he also has a 4-inch reach advantage over Alexander Romanov. I think that's going to be huge. Alexander Romanov, does throw a high volume of strikes. He lands 4.06 significant strikes per minute, while Almeida lands 2.54. But I think in this case, it's not going to mean anything. Even though Alexander Romanov throws a higher volume of strikes, I just think Almeida's probably going to just impose his will more, get the takedown, and start landing some power shots and ultimately do what he wants. Whether he's going to win via unanimous decision, Alexander Romanov, he's tough to put out. He has been TKO'd only once out of all his losses, and he's gone to decision. So not sure if Almeida will be able to put him out, but if not, I think Almeida should just definitely at least win unanimously. He's definitely the better fighter in this one. I don't think it's close. So I feel really good about him, but he is my 3-way in this one.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, I'm currently looking, and you can take Jailton. Let me see. You can take Jailton by KO or submission, minus 155. I think that's so wonderful here. I really do. I mean, to me, this doesn't go all the way. I mean, 15 minutes with Romanov, that guy's going to be so gassed. It's going to be embarrassing. So, seems like we agree, but I'm just a little more confident than you in that Jailton will get this job done inside the distance.
So yeah. So this is one where we both agree for Almeida, just different methods for sure. But I'm totally open. Like I definitely can see him if he's really like I truly believe he's that much better of a fighter. So definitely like if he wins, it's gonna be unanimously, just completely just manhandle and just pure dominance is the way I see it. But yeah, if it goes, he has the opportunity again at any point then to knock out TKO Alexander Romanov at some point too. I agree with that. But that being said, yeah, we both got Almeida. He is your 5-weight, and he is my 3-weight. That being said, we can move on to my 5-weight, and this is the opener of the card for the night. It is the welterweight bout between Randy Brown and Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. Right now, Randy Brown is the betting favorite at minus 184, while Dos Santos is the betting underdog at plus 142. This one, Randy Brown, one of my strong picks. And the reason is just he looked so good. Our last fight, I believe we had Randy Brown, and just him finishing Muslim Salikov in the first round, just pure dominance. And he's looked nothing but phenomenal. He's got only losses to Jack Della Maddalena and Vicente Luque, some studs, obviously in the UFC, and Della Maddalena, most recently getting that third round late win against Gilbert Burns. And so Randy Brown, I still think he's good enough, deserves to be hanging in there. I see some fun matchups with him with people in the even in the top 10. And dude is just big. I like his size too, being 6'3". And Dos Santos, he is 5'11". And Randy Brown also has a 5-inch reach advantage over him. He has a 78-inch reach advantage, while Dos Santos has a 73-inch reach. And so I definitely think Randy Brown's going to just overall land more of the power punches, and they both throw a high volume of strikes. Randy Brown lands 4.37 significant strikes per minute. Dos Santos lands 4.52, and both absorb 3.33 per minute. So both are definitely landing more than what they're taking in. And in this matchup, I just see Randy Brown getting more of the landing more of the punches just because of his size. Overall, I think that's just going to be that could be problematic for Dos Santos, and I think this fight's mostly going to be on the feet too. I don't know if either or is going to initiate a takedown as much. If anyone, I guess it would be Dos Santos most likely, but Randy Brown has a 74% takedown defense. So in this one, I see Randy Brown winning it, and I can see him winning it via TK or KO within the distance. What are your thoughts on this fight, Nick?
Man, I do agree with you. In the end, I like rude boy Randy Brown here, his size, and I think his experience here matters a lot. Of course, Zaleski has a lot of professional experience, but I don't think he has his high-level UFC experience. He has fought Sean Strickland, Max Griffin, kind of a little bit back in the past, so there are some bigger names on there, but in the end, man, Randy Brown's just kind of been there, done that. I like what he's done lately, like you said, with his KO against Salikov, his size. Don't have a weight on this one because I just like so much. This card to me has a lot of points of attack, and I like some of the other picks that we're going to discuss very shortly here. But that being said, if I was to pick this fight, I would take Randy Brown.
Yeah, and when you look at it too, I was gonna say the biggest worries I would probably from DeSantos would be like if he were to get a submission and just win via that way, because Randy Brown has been submitted twice in his professional career. But DeSantos, he's when most of his wins, he's more of a stand-up fighter type of guy. Out of his 24 wins, 14 of them come via KO/TKO, and then he's got 7 by decision. He's only won 3 by submission, so getting a submission on Randy Brown too, that's makes me feel better now because that's the only way I realistically see Dos Santos winning would be if he's able to actually somehow secure a takedown or get the better exchange on the floor if they go to the ground and ends up taking Randy Brown's back. That's the only way I can see him actually winning, but the chances of it happening are not so likely, I believe. So yeah, I just think overall the brute strength of Randy Brown is going to be more than enough that yeah, again, I would see Randy Brown winning this via TKO. So yeah, I feel so strong about him. He's my 5 weight. And as you mentioned, you did not put a weight on this fight, but you agree with Randy Brown as well.
Yep. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree if I was to put something on this fight. But yeah, sounds good. So moving forward then, let's go into my 4 weight. And, we're going to kind of stick along with the theme here, the main card, because I like the feature fight here of the night. And I like some of what I'm seeing here from Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland is going to be my 4 weight of Saturday afternoon. Of course, he's taking on Michal Olajaychuk. And I believe Kevin Holland is actually the one coming in on late notice. If I understand correctly, let me double check. Olajaychuk, I believe, had someone drop on him. And I could be wrong, though. Maybe I'm thinking about a different fight. But in any case, I really do like Kevin Holland's coming off a couple losses, right? He's lost to Jack Della Maddalena recently, who you were just discussing, has been good lately and kind of had that, you could call it a comeback win or whatever you want to call it, but he was kind of beating up Gilbert Burns, and Gilbert had to rely on his wrestling. Ended up KOing him in the 3rd round. I mean, JDM is not a bad loss. And then, of course, Venom Page, his first UFC fight. He ended up knocking Kevin Holland a couple times. But look, I think Kevin Holland showed his toughness, no doubt about it. Michael Page landed some good spots where it seemed like Kevin Holland might be done for. And Olajaychuk's also coming off of a couple losses himself. Of course, he won against Chidi, so it seems as of late that he is KO or bust, right? His last 3 wins have been KO in the 1st round or he loses the fight. He's definitely been fighting high-end competition, but so has Kevin Holland. I'd argue Kevin Holland's been fighting harder fighters because after before he had some of his more recent wins, he had to fight Khamzat Chimaev and Stephen Thompson, Wonderboy. I mean, these are just some real impressive names that he's losing to, but he is very much so in these fights. Kevin Holland's going to come out here. He's going to be kind of conservative. He's going to pick his spots against Olajaychuk, and he will by far be the better striker, in my opinion. Go ahead and try and take Kevin Holland down. Not even concerned about that aspect. Kevin Holland has 8 submissions in his UFC career. In fact, Olajaychuk has 1 submission win and 5 submission losses. So, if this fight finds itself on the ground, I don't think either guy's really searching for takedowns. But if it does find itself on the ground, Kevin Holland's going to be the one to be looking at all day long. So because of those reasons, I have Kevin Holland as a 4 weight. I'm pretty confident in him getting the job done. And before I give it over to Jose, he is a -260 favorite. So another fight in which we have a decent, he's almost 3-1 odds. So we might want to find another way to attack that fight other than just betting money line. I really liked Almeida. He's -290, but you get him inside the distance, 155. That's pretty good. So I don't know, maybe you pick a double chance Kevin Holland by KO or decision, because I really think those are probably the 2 most likely outcomes, and you can get that at -110, just saying. So Jose, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, so Nick, I agree with you on Kevin Holland. The thing is, he is my 1 weight, and it's just because the way I say it, and the reason why he's my 1 weight, my least confident pick, is just because it depends what version of Kevin Holland is going to show up. Um, like he's looked so good finishing like Santiago Ponzinibbio and Michael Chiesa, and then going to split decision loss to Jack Della Maddalena. And then he was looking good. Like these are three fights, even that loss to JDM, three fights in a row where he's looked good because like Stephen Thompson he lost, and Kamzat before that just completely got ran through, and he looked good and bad. Like even going this back to Derek Brunson and Marvin Vettori when he was up in middleweight, those fights too, it's just like more chitter chatter and just putting on a show as opposed to actually fighting. And since then, like you can just see that he is a more focused and he's a better fighter. And then against the Michael Venom Page fight, I thought he was really going to show up, but Kevin Holland was absent. He was my pick that week for the show, and I was just disappointed because he just did not show up and deliver. And that's the only thing I kind of worry about Kevin Holland is like, what version are we going to see of him? Is he going to actually deliver, or is he going to be kind of a disappointment? Because there's been times where it looks just so forward to him, what he's going to bring to the table, and then it doesn't really do much and just gets completely out wrestled and dominated. And in this matchup, I don't think he'll get too much out wrestled. I think this is going to be a good fight where it's going to be mostly on the feet. I like that. But even then, like I think if he's on his A game, definitely should get this win. He's the bigger fighter. He's the lengthier fighter. He's 6'3". Mikhail Olachechek is 6 exactly in height. And when it comes to a reach advantage, Kevin Holland, he actually has a 7-inch reach advantage over Mikhail Olachechek. That is huge in my opinion. So I definitely see that 7-inch reach advantage playing huge in this when it comes to being on the feet and just landing strikes. I definitely think he's going to land more significant strikes to Mikhail Olachechek, but Mikhail is a phenomenal kickboxer as well. So we'll see how he's going to handle this type of the length of Kevin Holland. And like I said, Kevin Holland doesn't always show up. So in my opinion, I'm going with them. I am going with Kevin Holland, but he's my one way just because what version of him is going to show up that night. But in the end, how they match up stylistically, I like it. It's on the feet. It's going to be, I think, a high-level striking match. But I think Kevin Holland should, if he's on his A game, he should be landing more strikes in. Could use his size as an advantage to just not get hit by Mikhail Olachechek. But again, Mikhail is serious when it comes to striking. So that being said, that also contributes why Kevin Holland is my one weight.
Sounds good, man. So in this case, then, we do agree on Kevin Holland, kind of another situation where I'm a little more confident than you are, but we agree nonetheless and think that Kevin Holland should be able to use his size and striking ability to get the job done here against Mikhail Olachechek. We move on to your 4-weight then, Jose.
Yes, so for my 4-weight, this is one of the fights I'm looking the most forward to. It's the middleweight bout between Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa. Right now, Sean Strickland is the betting favorite at -245, while Paulo Costa is the betting underdog at +186. I like Sean Strickland a lot. Dude, he is really good when it comes to his boxing. And Paulo Costa, he's by far his best win. I still think maybe that Yoel Romero fight back in 2019. He's lost to Izzy, completely outclassed there. Marvin Vettori completely outclassed him as well. And then Robert Whittaker, he had some moments and he looked better against Robert Whittaker, but even then could not get the job done against Robert Whittaker. And then there's Luke Rockhold. He did get that win over Luke, but Luke, come on, he was out for a while. He's an older man now, and even then, Luke still gave him a fight. And so Paulo Costa, he's not, he was a guy where a lot of people thought maybe he would be the champion by now. And he had his entryway into the UFC, and like he was like a hot prospect. But once he went to Izzy, he kind of just, I don't know, like I just feel like his like scariness, something about him like is just not the same anymore. Like I thought him versus like Kamzat 2 would be a fun fight, but I feel like Kamzat would probably definitely like not make it, like would probably make it a quick night for Paulo Costa in my opinion. But Paulo Costa has been looking better, but I just don't think it'll be enough. Sean Strickland, he just came off that split decision loss to Dricus du Plessis, and that was split. And again, like I just think on the feet, Sean Strickland's gonna land more on Paulo Costa and break him down with his pressure, just press forward, and ultimately at the end, Paulo Costa has shown to gas out. I think Sean Strickland has more of a gas tank than Paulo Costa. If Paulo Costa tries to take Sean Strickland down, I see Sean Strickland eventually getting up. I don't see Paulo Costa, even though he's a black belt. I wouldn't see him necessarily getting any submissions on Sean Strickland whatsoever. Paulo Costa's only got one submission on his record of winning by, so and Sean Strickland's never been submitted, so I wouldn't worry about any of that. And so if it's gonna come down to pure striking, then yeah, of course I'm gonna go with the better boxer than Sean Strickland. And not only that, Sean Strickland does have a 4-inch reach advantage. And so that being said, I do feel confident with Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland is just wild. Like if he gets hit, he's not afraid to still press forward, and he's almost uh, like like the Terminator. He'll just keep coming forward at you, and will take some tough shots. Paulo Costa, if he does rock Sean Strickland, it's probably going to be something like how we did with Robert Whitaker, like a spinning kick or something a little more unorthodox and just quicker and faster. Because Paulo Costa is pretty explosive as well. So if he is to win this fight, it's probably going to be via KO/TKO, and it's going to be just something quick and flashy, like a spinning kick, a flying knee, or something within that nature. Just catching Sean Strickland, kind of when Alex Pereira just caught Sean Strickland. It would be just something like that, where you just need to catch Sean Strickland at the right moment. Because if not, Sean Strickland is just going to press forward, keep walking at him, and just keep outboxing him, and ultimately go to unanimous decision, or if not, finish him before them by TKO or/slash KO. So that being said, I feel really good about Sean Strickland. He is my 4-weight. What are your thoughts on this fight, Nick?
I do agree on Sean Strickland. He's actually my 3-weight here. So he was going to be my next choice on the board. Look, I got a lot of this one hard for me. And at first, I kind of knew, like, yeah, I'm probably not going to be picking Paulo here, but I'll put Sean low. Like, I'll put Sean as my, like, 1-weight or something. And the real idea being that Paulo Costa just has power, right? We could go back to his last loss with Whitaker, right, where he was just mere centimeters from knocking Robert Whitaker into potentially retirement, right? Like that wheel kick was crazy from Paulo, and it was so close. Um, Look, Paulo Costa, like you said, though, hasn't been able to put it together, and it seems like in the biggest moments, he doesn't come through. And Sean Strickland's a guy that you know exactly what you're getting every time. Sean Strickland's going to do what he does, and he might win, he might not, right? But you know what he's going to try to do anyways, and he'll likely be successful at it. I think Sean Strickland's definitely going to be the better striker here, and you pointed out that Paulo Costa's really not a grappler. He might have a black belt, but he's not the kind of guy to get on your back and submit you, really. He would have done that against Izzy. You know, like he had opponents to where he theoretically would have had a huge advantage, and it wasn't used. So why would that be? Why would that change now? And I will say one final note too is that I do respect Paulo Costa's conditioning more than most. I'm not gonna. Of course, Strickland has better conditioning. Strickland could do what he does for days. It feels like without a break. But Paulo Costa, I got to give him credit too. In some of his losses, say against Marvin Vettori, right, he actually got better as the fight went on, and in the 5th round landed more strikes than Vettori. So he has shown the ability to stick in fights, even fights that are 5 rounds, and actually, grit it out and be there to the end. And it is worth mentioning, I'm not sure if you mentioned this, Jose, I don't think you did. This is 5 minutes. This is not for a belt, but this fight is 5 rounds. I said minutes, but rounds. Of course it's 5 minutes. Every fight is in the UFC is 5-minute rounds, but it's 5 of 5-minute rounds. Even though there's not a belt involved, this will go for 5. And I really think that helps Sean Strickland, because I think he just sets a pace and just keeps it up. And it's like a train operated by coal. It's going to start slow, and it's going to start getting momentum, and then it's going to be at its condition, its constant speed. And Sean Strickland's going to utilize that to get a decision win here. I don't necessarily think he puts Costa out, but I don't think Costa puts him out either. And in that case, Sean's going to be able to do what he does, counterattack the entire way, and get himself a decision win against Paulo Costa. What do you think, Jose?
Now that I agree with you 100%, Nick. And now that you mentioned it too, I feel even better about my pick though, just because, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
it's going to be 5 rounds, and I do give respect to Paulo Costa. I mean, he always has gone the distance when needed, but I do think like I always feel like he's the one breathing a little harder towards the end, and just starts getting a little sloppier, and it even opens him up to being just makes him more susceptible, I think, to get knocked out slash TKO'd. It seemed like in later rounds with Robert Whitaker, and even then with Izzy, like right before Izzy put him out, for how early that fight was how early it ended in the second round. Paulo Costa was already even looking gassed around then too. I felt like if he was definitely just more conditioned, he would have just been able to get out the way and just would have put up a better fight in terms of like just would have blocked more and would have even like been able to eat those punches a little more. Especially because back then too, like again, he seemed like the scary up and coming Terminator dude, and then he goes against Izzy, who looked more scrawny. At least I thought was going to be more scrawny than him, but it made Paulo look like a weaker, scrawnier guy that night. And I think Sean Strickland can just do the same, especially how big and beefy Sean Strickland is. So that being said, yeah, I'm more excited now. Just thank you for bringing that up about this being a 5 round fight. So yeah, Sean Strickland, he's my 4-weight and he's your 3-weight.
Sounds good. All right. So that being said, you opened that one up, so I'll go ahead and move on us down to the 2 weights. It looks like we've covered everything above our 3 weights. So that being said, I'm gonna go on into the main event of UFC 302. My 2-weight lies here between Islam Makhachev and Dustin Poirier. I'm sure anybody listening is thinking, what's going on here? Because Islam Makhachev is one of, if not the biggest favorite on this card. I can't verify if there's anybody higher on the prelims, but Islam Makhachev is currently minus 670 as a favorite in a UFC main event, which includes a belt on the line against a guy as legendary as Dustin Poirier, plus 430. This is just looking very grim for the challenger, who even admits he's considering retirement going into this fight. And I have just verified that this is the biggest favorite on the card, prelims included, and it's not even close. There isn't even another fighter currently on this UFC 302 slate that's even a minus 400 favorite. Islam is a minus 670 favorite. That just feels disrespectful against someone as legendary and as good as Dustin Poirier. He's been there and done that. Do I even need to sit here and introduce him and discuss him? Like, anybody who has taken the time to listen to this will already know who Dustin Poirier is. He's going to bring it, he's going to stand up, and he's going to swing with you. He'll grit it out if he has to, like he did against Benoit Saint Denis. He gets kind of dominated in the first round, comes back in the second round, and just knocks him out into space, man. And it kind of seems like it's one of the things that Poirier has been doing in a lot of his fights lately. Of course, he gets KO'd against Gaethje, so it doesn't always work in his favor. He gets head kicked into oblivion. He was trying to push Gaethje against the fence. Nope, get head kicked. He was able to submit Michael Chandler, but then he gets submitted by Charles Oliveira. He's just like, he can't find consistency either lately. I would love to spend all night. I could just for hours spend all night talking about how much I like Poirier and how much I want him to win this fight. But that's crazy for me to sit here and say, yeah, he's my 2-weight. I can't do it. Islam Makhachev, I'm doing this right, and I think Jose is too, right? To get these picks correct. We're looking to win money here. We're looking to find our angles against the UFC, win money, and enjoy the fights while we're watching them. And it's just kind of obvious that this is just it's great for Islam. Dustin's only really getting this shot because other contenders were busy. It should have been Gaethje, but he had to fight Holloway, and I'm sure he's not in any condition whatsoever. If anything, now you got to give it to Holloway after that freaking exhilarating KO. So what do you do with lightweight now, right? And they're just like, let's just do Poirier and see what happens. I think Poirier is getting a stretch advantage here with that legacy, getting a title shot that he may not necessarily deserve. I really do think he's still the better striker. I really do. If this is a boxing match, I'll take Poirier, right? but it simply is not. Makhachev will grind this out. He'll get on a Poirier. Poirier, I mean, we can joke about it all night too. Poirier will probably go for a joke of a guillotine attempt that won't even be locked in, and it'll allow Makhachev to get him on his back exactly where Makhachev wants to be, and it's just going to be a round loss. And then Poirier's going to have urgency and put Islam in the same spot that he put Benoit Saint Denis. And I think Islam's way too smart, and he has the background to go, no, I'm not fighting your fight. I'm the one with the belt. And it just sucks to say that I think Poirier will take this L. I don't know if he'll retire. I want him to just give one more fight so that he can finish. Like, imagine if he retired after getting a KO like he did against Benoit Saint Denis, right? That would be a send-off if I've ever seen one. So Poirier can lose this fight. He'll be fulfilled in the fact that he got like 4 chances to get a belt and couldn't get one that wasn't interim. He couldn't get the official, right? Just, you know what? Okay, you got to live with it. Fight like a bottom end of the top 10 fighter. Knock him out and retire. That's what I think Poirier should do, but I can't control that. Jose, what do you got on this fight?
Yeah, Nick, I agree with you. I like Dustin Poirier a lot, and that's a dude that definitely deserves. Like, I felt like for how long he's been doing it, all the legends he's gone and beaten, and what he's done. It's kind of crazy to think that the most he's done is get the interim and the BMF belts. Did he? Yeah, yeah. Did he
That's
get the
correct.
BMF? I might bet. Yeah. So
Well,
that
did he? No, he fought for the
no, he
BMF.
lost. He got
He
knocked
fought
out.
for
My
him.
bad. So yeah, so he only. So I guess it's crazy. Only the interim. And that being said, yeah, he's already has a loss to Islam, and and he's already been talking about the retirements. That's I'm gonna have to go. I'm going with Islam. He's my 2-weight, and the reason why he's so low is just because, like, all the respect for Dustin Poirier. Like, again, he's been at the top, beaten the legends and even up and coming guys like Benoit Saint Denis, and he didn't have to take that fight, but he just did it. And yeah, like, and when Michael Chandler came to the UFC, like, takes him on and gets a rear naked choke in the 3rd round, and avenging his loss to Conor McGregor. There's nothing but good things. Like, he's done the things that, like, like legends and like Hall of Famers do. Like, he's gone back and beaten the dudes that have also beaten him in the past, and Islam could be one of those dudes too. Like, that he could be added to his list realistically. Dustin Poirier, he does have a killer guillotine. He loves that guillotine. And so you best believe that Islam puts him against the cage, he's going to be looking for that guillotine no matter what, even if he should let go of it. I truly believe Dustin. And there's been times where Dustin Poirier, he does lock it in. And so, looks like the guys are in trouble, but they ease out a bit. So, but someone's always, like, it's always game. It's like, there's a knocker's chance, like a knockout chance. Well, with us in Poirier, there is the submission chance as well. His jiu-jitsu is a lot better than what people really think, because, out of his 30 wins, half of them come via KO/TKO, 7 by decision, but he does have 8 submission wins. But even then, a lot of fights that he's gone on to win by KO or decision, there was at least at some point too where he did offer some type of submission threat. And with Islam, that's probably one of his better chances they can get. I mean, Islam has been KO'd/TKO'd before by a guy that's not even in the UFC anymore. But and Poirier, he's still doing, just getting his most recent KO win. He's phenomenal boxer, phenomenal jiu-jitsu, but Islam's just too OP in my opinion. Islam has gone on and beat, another great in Alexander Volkanovski. He's already got this win over Dustin Poirier. He literally is, like, could be Nurmagomedov 2.0, and even Khabib also has a win over Dustin. So everything just says obviously Islam should be the winner just because how good he is, and that's why he's the biggest favorite. He's the biggest favorite of the night. So I do believe, like you said, we were here to win money. So at the end of the day, if I had to pick one, it is Islam. I will say I do like Dustin as an underdog, but even then, like, that I don't know, man. It's really risky as an underdog because I can only see him. I don't see him winning via unanimous decision. He's gonna have to outclass Islam. So if he beats
Yes.
Islam, it's going to have to be by a KO/TKO or a submission. But and that's just if in that's the only way I see him winning as an underdog. But that being said, yeah, Islam ultimately is my pick. It's hard to deny the champ Islam. So he is also my two weight like yourself.
Dude, and I actually fully agree with what you said too at the end, in that he's gonna, if Poirier's perspective of it, he's gonna have to win by KO or submission, and it's unlikely, I think, because I'm looking at FanDuel right now. They actually have KO or points listed as a higher favorite than KO or submission, and I guess that's probably because folks think it's Islam, right? He's not going to get submitted. He's going to be the one that submits. So I get that mindset, but like you said, man, Poirier is so good with those guillotines, even though he might try them too much, and he still has the Brazilian jiu-jitsu experience and background. Like, I'm just saying, like, I get that it's Makhachev, but if anyone's in an armbar, they're tapping. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's just technique, and these are the top end fighters in the world. Of course, there's a situation where Poirier could submit Islam, but I don't think it's as likely as Poirier winning by points, because Islam will just wrestle Poirier on his back the whole time and win by points himself. So I like that assertion, and I do agree that Poirier has good odds as a dog. And if it sounds like we agree, then if you're gonna do that, just take the extra juice and take Poirier by KO or submission specifically in double chance. You can get that at plus 550. I think that's great return. You bet $100 to win 550 on the chance that Poirier finishes Islam Makhachev. Of course, that's a fleeting wish. Just with how good Islam is, I think the Khabib 2.0 is probably fair, right? I think Islam, if anything, has shown he might be able to strike slightly better than Khabib, and especially at least against Volkanovski. So this the one caveat I will say to that though is this is the first true lightweight he's defending his belt against. He has not defended his belts against any true lightweights yet. He has beaten Oliveira, yes, but that was for the belt. He has beaten multiple other true lightweights. Yes, he beat Sarukian as well back in 2019, Bobby Green, of course. But hey, look, Makhachev does not have some laundry list of wins against some of the best of all time. You know, Cowboy Cerrone, Jim Miller, Anthony Pettis, Eddie Alvarez. Are you kidding me? Poirier has beaten just about anybody that's walked through the lightweight division at the top 5 region of rank, right, in the last 10 years. It's crazy how good he's been. He's just been there the entire time. So, man, there's some small, slim chance that Poirier makes that happen. I'd love to see it, but personally, my money just won't be on that. I'll be either no money at all or a little sprinkle on Makhachev.
Yeah, man, and you know what? I was also going to the intention. I don't know. I just want to clear this out. For some reason, I did think Dustin already faced Islam at some point too, just because a lot of these guys really have faced each other, the similar names. But that is another. That is one thing I do kind of feel like is to consider too. Is Islam has never fought someone with the caliber of Dustin Poirier. Like, so that is something to consider too, because man, yeah, like Dustin versus like if I know Islam is being Volkanovski, but man, Dustin versus Alexander Volkanovski too. I don't know, man. I just think different stuff, but like
I just
seeing
think
how
it's the
Islam beat
size
Volkanovski.
too, right? Like Volkanovski is a legend in his own right, of course. But I mean, Poirier is just, and it's not like, yeah, okay, featherweight to lightweight, whatever. I don't know, man. Uh, Makachev is 5'10", and he was kind of towering over Volkanovski. He's not gonna tower over Poirier.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that'll be
Yeah.
interesting,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So that's why Islam's my number two weight. Yep. I think I asserted him correctly, but still, because like, man, eventually, I know Gaethje just got knocked out, but even Gaethje versus Islam would have been really exciting as well. Like, if Gaethje can pick up another win again.
Yeah, I don't know, man. At this point, I think Poirier and Gaethje are like equals, and if you fought them 10 times, it might go 5-5. So it's like which one of them you give the chance to fight Islam. I think Islam fights them the same. Goes into the same game plan pretty much with both of them. And like, I don't mean to demean any one of Gaethje or Dustin Poirier, but if Dustin can't do it, I don't think Gaethje can either. That's just personally.
Facts, yeah. No, I agree.
That being said, if I'm not mistaken, we've gone through all of your picks, and we just have my one weight remaining because I did not have a pick in your 5-weight Randy Brown fight. I have replaced one of my fights in the main card with one of the prelims between Nico Price and Alex Morono. Alex Morono just recently coming off of a win against Court McGee. A couple, like, he's also kind of been like Dustin Poirier lately, where he hasn't been able to find like a groove since 2021, where he was able to get a win streak together. But Alex Morono has still been able to beat some top end fighters. He was able to beat Max Griffin, got KO'd by Chaos Williams for obvious reasons, lost to Anthony Pettis before he switched over, and was able to beat an older Cowboy Cerrone, Semmelsberger, Tim Means, of course. So, look, I think Morono is very clearly a kind of guy that's like up and down, right? And that's part of the reason he's my one weight. You can't say that, like, oh, you know what you're going to get out of Morono, like you know what you're going to get out of Strickland, for example. But I'm just kind of also knocking against Nico Price here with this pick. He hasn't really done all. Like, Nico Price is, 1-4 in his last 5 fights, and his last 2 losses are by KO. And specifically, last time he is KO'd by Robbie Lawler. I mean, thanks to him for not using, like, for allowing Robbie Lawler to finish his career in such an awesome fashion. But, like, geez, man, Nico Price has just not been impressive at all. And I would still be a little concerned if Alex Morono decides not to do any sort of wrestling or grappling. I really like Alex Morono to go for his jiu-jitsu. He's so good. Like, it's something that's almost underappreciated. He has 7 submission wins, 0 submission losses in the UFC. I think he could get on Nico Price's back and easily finish him. Easily. It might not, I don't even think that's crazy to say. Nico Price has done professional grappling fights as well, most recently against Pat Sabatini, and got finished in the first round. I'm not saying Pat Sabatini is bad. He's pretty good, actually. He's also in the UFC, obviously. But dang, Alex Morono I think I'd take Alex Morono to beat Sabatini as well. So, in specifically that jiu-jitsu setting. So I'm going to take that again here with the caveat that I believe Alex Morono will go for the back of Nico Price. I believe he's going to have some urgency to finish this fight early. So one weight on Alex Morono by submission.
Yeah, Nick, and I obviously I did not make a pick. I did not make a pick for this fight, but I agree with you on Alex Morono. Nico Price. Yeah, he's just not been things that not been going his way, and it's losing to Robbie Lawler as well. And as you mentioned, that was a nice send off for Robbie Lawler. Interesting. I did not know that. Yeah, like these two were scheduled to fight each other, but it was a no contest back in 2017. Made it to the second round, so I wonder how like that fight was
Nico
going up
Price
until then.
actually, as I recall, I'm actually not sure why. As I understood it, Nico Price won that fight.
He won it. Okay.
As I understood it, I don't know why it's listed as overturned, but as I understand it, Nico Price won that fight. Even though Morono was landing more, I believe Nico Price won that fight, and then maybe a drug test afterwards changed it over. I'd have to look that up.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. But that being said, no, yeah, I just don't think Nico Price has been looking as good. His most impressive win is the Alex Oliveira fight that he won unanimously, but other than that, he's just been getting finished or losing unanimously to these guys. And he has that upkick against James Vick, but James Vick, man, he really fell off hard. So that win really doesn't mean much. He does have a win over Randy Brown back in the day in 2018. That's actually really impressive, especially that's my 5-way right there. So, but times change, and in this scenario, I have to agree with you. Alex Morono is going to win this. I don't see it really going the distance either. So, in this one, if I had to make a pick, I'll go with Alex Morono as well.
So Nico Price, Curtis Blades, and Abel Trujillo all tested positive for marijuana and competition drug tests in relation to UFC Fight Night 104 in Houston. Therefore, Nico Price KOs Alex Morono. As the reporter states, Alex Morono was dominating the first half of this fight and was handling Nico Price en route to a win. But at the end, because if you look, it's overturned punch round 2, 5 minutes. It was literally with no time on the clock. Nico threw like a huge right hook that knocked out Alex Morono. So that was a situation where Morono was winning, got clipped. And then later on, Nico Price, I think we could both agree smoking some weed after winning a fight does not mean you had performance enhancers in your body. I don't quite agree with that overturn, but you have to keep in mind this also occurred in 2017. And I think we can both agree these guys' careers have not played out the same. Alex Morono has at least been consistently good, where if you look at the wins and losses in Nico Price's record, dude, it's just like a roller coaster, up and down and up and down. At least Alex Morono has had a couple instances where he's gotten a 3 or 4 fight win streak together, and he just loses when he gets like to the real, like Santiago Ponzinibbio and stuff, the guys that just aren't good stylistic matchups for him. But I just don't see that being Nico Price here. But since you don't have a pick on that, it did sound like you would generally agree on Alex Morono, and that completes our picks, 5 weights of UFC 302. Quick recap, my 5 weight is Jailton Almeida, and Jose's 5 weight is Randy Brown. To get the rest of our picks, definitely make sure to go back and listen. And in all honesty, I think one of our higher end picks is, at least for me, is Almeida within the distance. I think that return there, you can get it, I think it was minus 155 I discussed on the show. That is insane. I think Almeida is very quickly going to get to the top of the heavyweight division, just like people right now are saying, I want John Jones to fight Aspinall. There's going to be people wanting him to fight Jailton Almeida very soon. And you can get that at a great price right now coming up this Saturday. Thanks everybody for listening. If I'm not mistaken, the UFC has a lot of fights coming up. Excuse me. I don't think we have a break in action for quite some time. Let me double check on this one. Yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like the weekend of July 4th will be the next weekend we have off. That Saturday is July 6th. That will be the next Saturday without UFC fights. Therefore, you are going to get a good amount of action from your buddies over here at Moneyline MMA for weeks and weeks to come. Make sure to tune in next Monday. We'll have a UFC Fight Night lineup with headlining Jared Cannonier versus Nasruddin Imavov. But let's worry about that after this exciting UFC fight card on Saturday. Thanks everybody for listening, and see you later.